So you're a tech entrepreneur in Alberta. Where do you go for support, advice, access to capital, just connecting to the ecosystem? Well, today we're joined by a key leader at Alberta Innovates who's driving growth with his team in Alberta. We'll explore his journey, what excites him about his new role, and how his teams are fostering innovation and supporting entrepreneurs in Alberta's dynamic ecosystem. Sit back, settle in. Welcome to Shift. Today's guest is Robert Lai. Robert is the VP of Investment here at AI. And Robert, as I understand it, this is 3.5 months now you've been in this position.
Yeah, John, that's correct. Thanks for having me, first of all. Yeah, it's been about 3.5 months. It's been great. Really enjoying myself here at Alberta Innovates.
Yeah, right on. It's great to have you. So why don't we dive in a little bit? Tell me a bit about your background and what led you to Alberta Innovates.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have started my career really early in the telecom space, mostly in the business side, in the sales side. And as that my career evolved, I started working for Bell. And when I was at Bell, we worked on a major project called SuperNet. And that's when I really got attached to the innovation system here in Alberta. And it really attracted me to what we're trying to do here in the province. Then I joined the government and worked at a ministry called Advanced Education and Technology. The predecessor was called Innovation and Science. So I learned a lot about the innovation system then and the purpose, what our vision is, what our objectives were. And from there, I did go back to the private sector and learn a lot more about business and the broader business world, then just came back to now Alberta Innovates. And I think bringing both my background in private sector and public sector is of value to what we're trying to do here.
Oh, for sure. And so when you were with Advanced Education, then you would have had familiarity with Alberta Innovates back then too. And what we, Health Solutions and the predecessor names.
Yeah, no, for sure. We funded Alberta Innovates back then. We developed a lot of the policies around the innovation systems and a lot of the initial, planning and design of the programs, some of the programs we roll out today.
Oh, fascinating.
So there is a strong history with that and also a connection to what we do today.
Right. Now, I just want to talk briefly about SuperNet. That's such a great name. Now that's like the internet and accessibility has become absolutely imperative for businesses and for, family life. This is what SuperNet was, bringing the internet to Alberta?
Yes. It was probably close to over 20 years ago that the provincial government looked at, how the digital economy was going to be critical to the success to the province and look at how do you make an investment that allows the province to flourish in a digital economy. And looking at, outside of your Edmonton and Calgary, where there's a lot of infrastructure to support that, but that's not the same case for a lot of communities here in Alberta. So the investment was made to connect 422 communities wherever there was a school, hospital, or library that they would bring broadband to that community. So then also created a business model for allow local service providers to enter the market there and provide that digital access that is much needed in rural communities.
I see. Okay, and it can still get better. We're still improving that accessibility in some of the small. Yeah.
What we used to call high speed now would be slow speed. So
for sure,
as technology advances and desire for more faster, infrastructure, you upgrade that. But I think the key to it is the vision of understand the need to provide the infrastructure for the province, whether you live in rural or urban, access to that digital infrastructure was critical.
Right. So now you've obviously had experience, as we just discussed, in the Alberta ecosystem, the innovation ecosystem. And now that you're here with Alberta Innovates, what excites you most about what's going on?
What excites me the most is that we have a vision about what we can be. That means there's a lot to do yet.
Mm-hmm.
And the vision is to really create a vibrant technology community here in the province that continues to innovate, continues to commercialize those innovations, support the companies that are going to commercialize those innovations, and help them to become global companies, which is going to be really significant return for the province, for the people that live here, for all the business that will thrive through this. And that's really what's exciting, is that vision is going to create the opportunities for not only today, for the future. And it's, quite honestly, it's quite exciting.
It's pretty exciting for sure. I agree. So now when we think of your position, there's essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong anywhere in this, but you oversee 4 teams, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So capital development, the Accelerator Programs, entrepreneurial investments, and post-secondary investments and emerging technologies.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So can you give us a little like a bird's eye view of what each of those 4 are?
Sure. So the first group would be the capital development team. And their main focus is to create more capital, available capital for companies here in Alberta, and also to help those companies access that capital. The second, the Accelerator Program. This is where we want to help Alberta scale-ups grow on a global stage through our global accelerators and also through fellowship. Third, entrepreneurial investments. As the word states, we want to invest in entrepreneurs. And we invest them by providing coaching, community, and also capital.
Okay.
And the last is the post-secondary investments and emerging technologies. And our focus there is to enable and matchmaking talent and accelerating emerging technologies towards commercialization.
Okay, and that's the emerging technologies that researchers are working at the universities and the polytechnics and stuff like that.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you talk about emerging technologies, one of the focus we invested early on is AI.
Right.
And that investment has, created a really put Alberta on a map, global map, as one of the, best in class in terms of talent and also infrastructure and activities around AI.
Right. Yeah. Especially when you look at the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, which is just down the street from our where we are right now. The work they're doing, I think they're top 3 globally. And that's an organization that we've supported for a couple of decades now. So it's fascinating when you think about, when you're talking about SuperNet and having that vision to say, okay, we need to, do this to make our province competitive. So that same vision was, 20 years ago with artificial intelligence going, hey, how do we do this?
No, for sure. I think using a sports analogy, I know our CEO likes to use sports analogy, and so do I. When you think about Wayne Gretzky, he always talked about, let's not focus on where the puck is, but where the puck is going, right? So what's the next emerging technology that we should look at investing in and developing so we are well positioned for the future?
Right. And one of those things that I hear talk a lot about is quantum. And
yeah, for sure. I don't know a lot about quantum myself, but when I was in private sector, we were working very much on quantum as, our innovation to make sure that our corporation was going to be relevant in the future.
Fascinating. It's going to be exciting to see what comes of all of this in the coming years. So let's dive a little deeper into a couple of those. So I'm thinking about the accelerators. Now they operate under what we call the Alberta Scale Up and Growth Accelerator Program here at Alberta Innovates. How do we help them get those companies get off the ground and thrive here in the province?
So we partner with global accelerators, and these global accelerators, use a holistic system to build entrepreneurial capital for Alberta companies, namely measurable financial outcomes such as investments, funding, and revenue, and also with human outcomes, enhancing the entrepreneurship, learnings, and the competencies of these companies, social outcomes, creation of networks, and cultural outcomes to make sure that these companies are really ready and can compete and scale on the global stage. So these global accelerators that we partner with have a lot of experience in doing this. And we have partnered with 5 of the top 10 in the world in this area. So it's really leveraging the expertise of these global accelerators to provide their holistic systems and enabling our companies to learn from that and capitalize on that.
So these accelerators are now, they have offices in the province.
Yes, they do.
Okay, that's pretty cool. It's quite a coup, I think, for the ecosystem to be able to attract players like that.
Yeah, I think it's very important to recognize what we can do very well, and what partners can do and do very well that can help us, right?
Right.
In this case, these global accelerators are world-class. That's what they do best. And ultimately, what we want is the outcomes.
Right.
Which is enabling our local companies to be able to flourish under those systems and grow to be global companies.
So as we're talking, and I know we talked briefly about post-secondary just prior to that in the emerging tech. I want to go back just a second, and can you explain in a bit more detail about how we work with the PSIs, the post-secondary institutions, and their work with emerging technologies to push innovation and research forward in the province?
Sure. So we focus on 2 areas. One is highly qualified personnel.
Okay.
We call it in short HQP. So this is the talent side. The talent, the people are doing the research and innovating at our post-secondary institutions. So we have programs that support that, such as our graduate student scholarship. So this is to really encourage these students to continue to innovate. Okay. Second, we want to connect those innovators with entrepreneurs that can consider, and hopefully we want them to now commercialize some of these research or innovations that come from our post-secondary institutions. So we partner with NSERC to support some of these research programs to really see what comes out of that research that can be commercialized, and then again matching up with some potential entrepreneurs to commercialize that.
Okay.
So that's the PSI part, the post-secondary institute.
Okay, so let me just kind of paraphrase here. So you've got a researcher at a university that's working on a technology, and the goal, and we'll fund that through some of the programs we have. And then the goal is to try to find an entrepreneur that could potentially take that technology and commercialize it in her or his business.
Bang on.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're different programs, but they all interlink in terms of, again, try to develop that talent and capitalize on some of the work from the talent to commercial.
Okay, so that's the PSI portion of it, of the PSI ET, emerging technology. So now what's the emerging technology side?
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, is really looking at where the puck is going, right?
Okay.
And we invested in AI many years ago, and we're continuing to invest in it. We see that is something that we'll see the continued growth of that, but really set our eyes on what's the next thing. Like you say, quantum.
That is challenging. Hey, where's the puck going? You look at, let's extend the sports analogy for briefly. Gretzky could figure out where the puck was going, but of how many players were there? 900 players in the NHL at the time, or maybe not that many, but how many of them could anticipate where the puck is going?
That's right. So I think, we do focus on that. We don't do this alone. We have many partners that we work with to take the information, look at the environment, and really consider what is the next thing, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Another thing that I think about, kind of tied in with the HQP, the highly qualified personnel, and the emerging tech, when we're doing work and supporting work at the post-secondaries and the polytechnics, I would think that global players, global academics could look at this and go, this seems like a fertile ground in Alberta for me to go work. And I guess the question is, does this attract a lot of external academics to the province to go, I want to go and ply my trade here because this looks like a hotbed?
Yeah, so attracting talent is also, one of the things that you can realize by, focusing on some great work. I know in the past we used to have other programs like I-Core that was really centered around bringing the brightest and the best researchers in the world. And the intent there was they will attract others to come and follow and do the work here, right? So that history of that has carried on, right? Based on some of the work that we've been doing. And when you do great work, the scientific and research community is tight. So when they hear about great things that are happening here in Alberta, they're interested in it. They'll consider looking at working here as well. So you're absolutely correct. It certainly can be a way of attracting talent to Alberta as well.
Well,
both at the university, polytechnic, and in the companies as well.
Right. Well, what made me think of this was one of your comments before when we bumped into one another in a hallway where you said success is a magnet. And I love that. That really resonates because, you create something and people are going to be attracted to that.
No, for sure. Success is a magnet. I think when we were talking in the hallway, we talked about, going back to the sports area, the Edmonton Oilers are a success these days. They have been a success. And when you're successful, you attract more people that want to play here. Right. And the evidence is really proving out.
Yeah. No, and now no affront to the Calgary Flames, because I'm sure at some point they'll have a bit more success and start attracting other players. So now, how do we spot those high potential entrepreneurs and support them? Are we, are we doing calls? Do we want people to come to us? How does that all work?
Yeah, there's many, I'll say, channels to spot these high potential entrepreneurs. One, they come to us, okay? And they come to us in many fashions. One, directly. Two, they can go through our regional innovation network partners who play a big role in terms of part of the community, whether that's rural or in urban centers. We have these regional innovation networks that they can connect with, and then they will suggest that to work with us. There are companies that are well aware of us, and they'll engage us through our technology development advisors. And our technology development advisors are great. I spend a lot of time with them, and I continue to learn what they do. They really go and listen and learn about these companies. They will give them some coaching, some advice, or connect them to other partners that could be a help to them, or connect them to some of our programs that can help with them. So it's either directly, they could go through our ecosystem partners such as the RINs. They can go through the TDAs. We do prefer that, when they're trying to access our programs, not to just go directly through the website and apply. They should, really consider talking to the TDA.
Oh, okay.
So they can get some that coaching and community and advice that I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So they, are more informed in terms of, what help they may need and where the help is, right?
And is there cost for someone to access a technology development advisor?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
Like I said, they do an excellent job, and I really do encourage companies that are considering working with us, or even if they're not working with us, they need some help, just to consider reaching out to a TDA.
So would you say then, as businesses start up and begin to scale up, is there a point where it's like they no longer need maybe some support from Alberta Innovates? Like, I guess what I'm saying is, if a company is well into their journey, is it possibly advantageous for them still to reach out to a TDA?
No, for sure. So, most of our clients are startups, but it's not limited to startups.
Right.
There are companies that are maybe, a well-established company, but they're looking to diversify their business with new technologies or new, I would say, products and services. And they want to, some help in that regard. We will talk to them, and if there's a fit for our programs or the services that we provide, we will help them. But having that initial conversation will help decide, what path to take next.
Okay. And it's also the connections too, because I think these TDAs, these men and women are business professionals. They understand the ecosystem, and they can also do those handoffs, right?
No, for sure. I mean, when we talk about ecosystem, it's not just the universities, the RINs, or different technology innovators, companies. You may find the opportunity to say, this company's doing this and this company's doing that. Maybe there's an opportunity for companies to partner, for example, just based on that network you talked about.
Yeah.
So there's many things that can happen just by having a conversation with someone that is in touch with the ecosystem and, facilitating that potential connection, whether that's a company partner or a researcher or...
I love that. Yeah. It's almost like a concierge in a way, hey? Like a business concierge. I don't mean to sound like that, is diminishing it or anything, but to be able to have someone that's so connected that can say, hey, what about, have you looked at,
It's funny you say that, because when I worked at Events, Education, and Technology, our initial thought about the role of, we didn't call it TDA then, but we did say concierge for the innovation system. So
is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
so that's cool. So back to kind of your genesis in the system, you were part of coming up with that program of technology development advisors.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, if you think of when you're at a hotel, you go to the concierge. You can ask for direction, advice, recommendations. You can ask for services. It's really very similar.
Yeah.
But we don't want to be calling them concierge, I guess, maybe, because that's really not I think what they do is the same or similar, I should say. But we want to really focus on the technology side. That's why we call it technology development advisors.
Well, and to that point, all of this discussion we're having, our focus is at Alberta Innovates is on technology.
That's correct.
So while there's lots of entrepreneurs that are doing other things, and I understand, again, from conversations in the past, you have some background, your family has some background in the restaurant business, which is entrepreneurialism as well. And there can be a lot of similarities between, those entrepreneurial undertakings, but our focus is primarily on tech.
No, for sure. So if you think about a business, there's many different types of business. And you mentioned restaurant being one. And there's similarities in terms of challenges in businesses. But what our focus is not just business challenges, is technology.
Yeah,
business challenges.
Right. And we can always point people in the right direction.
Correct. That's what we're here for.
So, Robert, tell me, why is funding innovation and entrepreneurs so important for the province?
Well, like I said, we have a vision. We have a vision for this province that we are going to be a vibrant hub for innovation, commercialization, and a vibrant technology ecosystem. And for that to happen, I think there's a role for government to be enabling that, right? So through our programs, through our ecosystem, that is our ability to invest in getting to that outcome or achieving that vision. To not fund or to focus on building that, it does not naturally happen. You have to be very intentional in terms of how you accomplish that. So I think that's why it's important that we invest in funding innovation and entrepreneurship here in Alberta, because it doesn't happen at a pace you would like on its own. You
Right.
need to take the initiative and being very intentional, like I say.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about, from your perspective, what are some of the biggest challenges that we face in the Alberta innovation community right now?
I think the biggest challenge is really related to more about adoption.
Okay.
There's a lot of innovation that happens,
Mm-hmm.
and typically the innovator will look at, well, there's a problem there that I see that I can solve with my innovation.
Mm-hmm.
And with all good intentions of solving that problem, but now you need the recipient to adopt it, right? And I think, how do you encourage more adoption is maybe de-risking it for those companies to adopt it, right? Or where's the capital to take that innovation so you can actually get it to the point where you can prove it that it can solve a problem for someone. So it's really taking the idea side,
Mm-hmm.
creating something that can be now shown or demonstrate to a customer. Ultimately, you want not just one customer, markets, right?
Right.
But is the adoption side, I think, is a big challenge in the innovation system. There's a lot of innovation that happens, right?
Right.
And
Okay.
you need someone as a recipient of that innovation. And so how do we encourage that? And I think one of the things that we see is productivity is a big challenge, particularly here in Canada.
Productivity.
Yes.
Okay. Flesh that out for me.
Yeah. So there are stats that show that Canada lags amongst the G7 as the lowest productivity of the G7. So
Okay.
when you look at how adoption of innovation and technology could enable or accelerate productivity, that's
Oh,
so adoption can enhance productivity of technology.
okay. Well, when I hear you say productivity, I think and that we've got low productivity. Do we have a shorter work week than everybody else? Is it like individually we're not as productive as other nations? Am I understanding that correctly, or is it a different definition of productivity?
Yeah, no, I think productivity, we're not talking about work week or how many days we work. It's more about how much we produce for in terms of effort, right? Okay.
Okay.
So technology does enable to produce a lot more with the same, right?
Okay. Is that a per capita issue, or is it because Canada's what are we at, 40 million people?
No, it's based on. I'm not an expert in that area,
Putting you on the spot. You got to answer everything, Robert.
but certainly, like I said, there is a lot of articles written about the lack of productivity here in Canada.
Okay.
And adoption of technology to enable more productivity is a major issue.
Okay. So what are we doing at Alberta Innovates to help with the adoption issue? And again, I told you I was going to put you on the spot.
Oh, no, not a problem. So one of the things that we do in our program is called a product demonstration program.
Okay.
And the intent there is to support these startups or these companies to be able to demonstrate their product to potential customers. Okay. And a lot of people, the customer side, will always look at something new as risky.
Of course.
Yes, you understand my problem. Yes, you can solve my problem. Now show me, right? So this product demonstration program will support companies to be able to do that.
Okay. You raise a good point. Yeah, it's like being an early adopter of something. There's
Exactly.
always a bit of a risk involved. There's uncertainty, and it's like the bell curve, right? So you imagine you've got in the middle. That's where the highest amount of any activity or adoption is. And then on the right and the left-hand side is a really low number of people. So that's where initially it's really low. So we help people kind of get their products higher up onto that curve.
No, for sure. And, like I said, our program's there to support that.
Mm-hmm.
And, in most part, it's working really, really well when companies are able to take their product and demonstrate it to potential customers.
So, okay, no, that's really cool. I want to go back a little bit here. I won't keep you much longer, but I remember in one of our conversations, you had mentioned this concept of find, educate, connect. I think it was in the Success is a Magnet conversation that we had. Do you want to just flesh that out for me a little bit? Because I really like that. And it fits also in with that coaching community capital sort of, vibe that we've got these kind of quick to remember statements. So find, educate, connect.
Yes. This is where our capital development team is focused on.
Okay.
When we say find, we want find available capital. So whether that's an angel investor, a venture capitalist, all these different sources of capital, we want to find who they are. We want to attract that investment here in Alberta.
Okay.
We want to develop more local investors and fund managers. So we want to find them. Okay. And then the second is educate. And when we say educate, this is where we want to educate our startups and early stage companies what it takes to be investment ready. So a lot of founders are well educated on the innovation, well educated on a lot of business, but some are not as familiar in terms of what it takes to be investment ready.
Okay.
So we want to create, sessions, workshops, programs to educate our entrepreneurs to what it takes to be investment ready.
Okay.
And the last is connect, right? So we find them, we educate them. Now we want to connect the people who need capital to the people who have the capital. We want to connect the people who have capital to deals that are looking for capital. So that's the find, educate, and connect that I refer to.
Oh, cool. Okay. Thank you. So again, with all of this, from your perspective, the first step is start with a technology development advisor.
Yeah, they play a critical piece in all this. I know we all do things through the internet, online, through websites, and there's only so much of information you can get.
Mm-hmm.
But when there are companies that are really want to better understand what, programs are available to them, what help is available to them, I think the best is to reach out to a technology development advisor.
Okay.
So we do have an intake program where it comes in and we have a person that will triage that and see what your needs are. And if the needs are a good fit for our TDAs, they will connect you with a TDA. So that triage is important because sometimes the questions could be very simple, could be answered by the person that triaged this, but also not misdirect you to TDA with that's not what the help you need.
Right.
But certainly we're here to help, and our team does an excellent job. I'm very proud of the work they do.
Excellent. So you heard it here, folks. There's no charge to access a technology development advisor. You can go to the website and connect with us. I think on the top, I was looking earlier on the top right-hand corner of the page is a Start Here button. Click on that. You can read all about funding. And then there's a button that says Connect with Us. So if you're a business owner out there, a technology business owner, select that. Go set up a meeting with a TDA. If you've already got a TDA, keep it going. Robert, this was a very good conversation. I appreciate your insight, and I appreciate that you took some time to talk with me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, John.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Take care.
Well, thanks for joining us today, folks, on Shift. We love it that you listen. Take a moment to subscribe. Join your favorite streaming service and click the old subscribe button so you don't miss anything. On behalf of everyone here, I'm John Hagan. Until next time.